Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'een. So everyone listen to me today. My name is Imam Muhammad, and today inshallah we'll be looking into the topic that we've announced earlier. So today we'll be looking into the fourth module of our accelerated Quran reading program here at Mahir Academy. So if you've been following me for a while, we've explained what students need to learn so that they can be able to understand the heart of recitation of the Quran fluently. So for you who is a beginner, so you need to learn 8 modules, meaning you need to understand the letters, the shapes, the articulation, the makharij of the Quran letters. You also need to understand the short vowel sound. So we've had a lesson 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. We learned the Fatha, Kasra, Dhamma, and how to implement them when reciting the Quran. And just last week, we talked about the Sukun, the Quran silent letters. How do you articulate? How do you pronounce and read the Quran letters that have a Sukun? All right, we learned that last week. So today, inshallah, that's the fourth module we're learning today, is how out of the 8 modules. So like if you've been following all these videos, I recommended something to you all earlier last week. I asked you to go download the Quran Tajweed Mate app. So type it on Google Play Store, or you can check it on your Apple Store or whatever store you are using. It's called the Tajweed Mate app. This app is really gonna be useful for you. I'm gonna put the link in the comment here. So if in case you want to download the app, it's a free resource app. So this will help you, aside from learning the concept with me here, you will also be able to practice and actually do some recordings and get feedback. So this is really gonna go a long way to help you in your Quran learning journey. So I'm gonna add the link into that app in the chat here so you all can check it out and download it on your phone, on your tablet, so you can help your child learn to read the Quran themselves. So we will be building the skills in this session together every week, inshallah. We'll be building the skills together, but it's on to you to implement the rest of the strategies of our learning trifecta in the program here, meaning you need to be able to practice, right? Revise what you've learned, and you need to be able to do homework, get some practice and get feedback. So I'm trying to copy the link of the app. So if you're using Play Store, you will get it in Play Store. You're using Apple Store, go type it in there and click the link to actually find it. So I'm going to put it in the comment here. It's called the Tajweed Made app. So you can use that to actually learn to read the Quran by implementing the skills that we'll be learning in this class here. And so you can be able to do the rest of the 3 steps. So going quickly into the concept we're going to learn today without too much delay. So it's med. So med is, when you have med in Quran, it means when you make the letters elongated, right? You stretch the letters. You pronounce the letters longer. Okay. So you can pronounce a letter longer for up to like 6 counts. So let's go and dive into the Quran med letters. Let's dive into the Quran mad letters, inshallah, today, everyone. So there are 3 mad letters in the Quran. So there are 3 mad letters in the Quran that makes the letter longer. Okay. There are 3 mad letters in the Quran that makes it longer. And so these 3 mad letters, there are 3 of them. So when you see them in the Quran, the sound of the letters pronounced differently. So instead of the sound going for 1 count, the sound is gonna go for 2 counts. And if the letter has some other special symbol, the sound can go up to like 6 counts or 5 counts or 6 counts. So let's dive into that today together, inshallah, bismillah. So the mad letters, how many are them? There are 3 of them. So when you see them in the Quran, they makes the letter longer. Okay, they makes the letter longer. So the first of them is the alif, which doesn't have a sound in the Quran. So the alif does not have a sound, so it's used for elongation. Okay, then we have the wa, and then we have the ya. Okay, and so these 3 letters are called the mad letters. And when you pronounce them in the Quran recitation, it ensures the letters are pronounced for 2 counts. So any letter that has an alif mad together with it, or any letter that have a waw together with it, or any letter that has a ya mad together with it. So if they don't have any other extra symbol on top of them, they will make sure the letter that they come after will be pronounced for 2 counts. So, but how do we pronounce them? A letter with an alif mad must have a fatha. Okay, a letter with a waw mad will have a dhamma, and a letter with a ya mad will have a kasra, with the exception of the madeleine, which we'll learn later on. So madeleine has that exception of this rule I just shown on the screen right now. So madeleine is when you have a letter having fatha, but having a waw or a ya mad. It's called madeleine, right? But naturally, mad letters work this way. So for a letter to get elongated with an alif, it needs to have a fatha. A letter to get elongated with a waw, it needs to get a dhamma on top of it as a short vowel sound. If a letter will be elongated by a ya, it will have a kasra. It's going to have a kasra. So if you are pronouncing the Quran words and you see a letter that's sakin, an alif, sakin, a waw, sakin, a ya, sakin. You remember last week I talked about sakin, meaning something that's silent, right? So when a letter alif is having nothing, it's not having anything. It's having nothing. It's not having anything of short vowel sound. It's not having a fatha. It's not having a kasra. It's not having a dhamma, right? It's having nothing, or it might have something have a small sukun. That alif or that waw or that ya will be what? A mad letter. Okay, so we'll do some practice right now. So let's talk about the alif mad in his own scenario. So you can see here, if you've joined me in the class earlier and we've learned the mad letters, we've learned the shapes of the letters of the Quran. So you need to know how to practice pronouncing this. So this is a ba and an alif attached to it. So the ba is here and the alif is attached to it. So this will be pronounced as ba. So that shouldn't be more than that. Ba, right? It's not going to be ba. It's going to be ba. So two count. And this is going to be ta, tha, ha, ha, da, right? Ra, za, sa, right? So if you want to practice and jam in live every Sundays and practice, you can let us know. Comment below this video so I can share with you the Zoom link to this call. So you can be able to join live with me every Friday, every Sundays at 5 p.m. New York, London time, UK time, and every Sundays for those based in North America. So at 12 p.m. Eastern, you'll be able to join live session with me to learn the Tajweed and learn the reading fluency. So if you want to join us in our paper in our program that's not this online here, it's gonna be private lesson where you learn together with our students in the program. You can comment below this video as well. So let's continue. These letters are having the fatha and they're also having an alif mad. So that's the first thing I mentioned earlier. So this is a dal with a fatha, all right, and having an alif mad. Is a kha with a fatha and having an alif mad. So these all pronounced for two counts. They all pronounced for two counts. So let's check some other examples as well. So these are examples. So you need to understand that this is not just for fun. When you have the ayn and it's having an alif, it has a purpose. The alif has a reason why it's there. The ayn is having a fatha. So it's going to be right? Gha, fa, right? Ka, la. This will be ma. This is going to be ha, wa, and right? Wa, ha. Excuse me. So these are letters of mad. This is the first one, an alif mad. So the hamza having an alif mad. So that's why the scholars of Tajweed mentioned the hamza is not so alif is a separate letter and hamza is a separate letter. You'll see here that hamza is getting elongated by an alif as well. So if they are the same thing, then there will not be need for alif to make an hamza elongated. So an alif is a separate letter and an hamza is a separate letter. So there are 29 Tajweed letters in the Quran. Okay, so so let's do some more examples and so we can read some words. Oh, we're gonna go into the tiny alif mad forms. So as you will see the letters of alif having the long alif. See, these are long alif, the usual one. Sometimes you will see alif mad written as a shorter form, tiny form, right? Alif qasir. It's so small and some students actually miss that out. They don't know it's representing mad as well. It do have some tricky part to it. So if you see this one here, this is a ba with an alif mad. So this is ba, right? It's also a na, ta, the same way the other one will sound. So what about this one though? Let's check how this. You'll see here we have two mad letters beside the sin here. So we're going to apply the rule that we've learned earlier, that if a letter will be elongated by an alif mad, it will have a fatha. So meaning letters that have a fatha, the elongation will be used for them will be an alif mad. If the letter has a kasra, the elongation letter will be the ya. If a letter has a dhamma, the elongation letter will be a wa. Okay? So the sin here is having a fatha. So regardless of what other mad letters come after the sin, if you look at this very well, there's a tiny alif and also there's a ya here. There's a ya. So these are both unvoweled, and that's the rule of mad letters. The alif is unvoweled, the ya also is unvoweled. So how do you pronounce the sin? The sin is going to be pronounced with what? It will be pronounced with an alif mad instead of the ya that's together with it. The ya is there, but it's not pronounced. So that will be sa. So some students who are just starting to learn the Quran will say saya, which is wrong because this is a ya mad. It doesn't have any sound. It's a ya mad, and this is an alif mad. So both of them coming on the same letter. So what you're gonna use is gonna use the rule I mentioned earlier. Any letter having an alif mad, having a fatha, if it's going to be elongated, it will be elongated by an alif mad, not a ya, not a wa, right? And a letter having a ya, a kasra, will be elongated by a ya. A letter having a dhamma will be elongated by a waw. We have one exception in Tajweed, which is Medellin. In Medellin situation, you have a letter having fatha, but it's using waw or ya as a med. But that waw and ya will have a short half circle sukun on top of them. We call it Medellin, like in Surah Al-Fil or in Surah Al-Fil, or we have an example in Surah Quraysh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لإيلاف قريش. Go check that surah. You see the example of Madeline I'm mentioning there. Although it's a different way, it's pronounced differently. So it's among the basic med that we'll learn later on when we learn advanced Tajweed lessons. So you need to understand basically right here from now, this is an alif. It's called the tiny alif. So when you pronounce the letter, you pronounce that letter with the med, with the alif. But in this scenario here, we want to pronounce the sin with an alif, not the ya. So a student will get so confused and know, what is this? Is this one a ya or what? Yeah, this is a sin together with a ya and an alif on top of the ya. So you're not pronouncing the sin with the ya. So it will not be, it will never be saya. Some will say sa. No, that's not. It will be sa, or this will be ra. Why? Because the ra has an alif, a fatha. It has a fatha, and the ya has what? Nothing. The alif has what? Nothing. So this ya and alif in that scenario are also mad letters. But which of them are we going to use? So we're going to use the alif instead to elongate the ra, not the ya. So ra, right? When you see it at the end of some words of the Quran, it's going to be that way. Or you see ha, you will not pronounce the ha with the ya. Why? Because the ha is having a fatha here, and the ya is a mad letter. The alif tani is also a mad letter. But which one are you going to use? You will use the alif to make the ha elongated. Okay, you're gonna use the alif to make the ha elongated for 2 count as well. Ha, ha. So let's do some readings, everyone. We still have some more examples. You can see something like this as well in the Quran. You'll see the ya, or you see this one here, noon, right? So you see it's noon is having a fatha, and then there's a wa after it. The wa is not having a fatha or anything. Rather, there's an alif on top of the wa as well. There's an alif on top of the wa. So how do you pronounce this? Okay, how do you pronounce this? So the noon is going to be elongated by what? Is it by the wa or the alif? Okay, how do you pronounce the noon? Is it going to be elongated by the wa or the alif? Right. So it's going to be elongated by the what? By the alif, because the noon is having a fatha. So na. So this will not be la wa. This will be la, because the alif tiny here is on top of the wa. So you pronounce the lam longer because of the alif. So la, not because of the wa. Because this wa here is based on the theory of med, it's also a med letter there. But why is it not pronounced Is he not elongating the lam? Why are we not using the waw, though is a mad letter, to make the lam longer? The reason is there's an alif here, a tiny alif. So the lam is getting elongated by the lam is getting elongated by the alif, not the one. And the same thing here. So this will be ka, right? You're pronouncing the kaf with just what the alif made, right? So go over this and watch this video many times, and you can practice with the Tajweed Me app and practice a lot to get more comfortable with this. So let's try to pronounce some words that have alif met in them. Okay, so we have different words here, many letters. Some of them have 5, 6, 4 letters. So here, this is gonna be what? So this is muqam. So we learned last week that anytime we stop on a letter and it has a fatha or it has a kasra or a dhamma or it has a dhammatayni or it has a kasratayni, we'll stop on those letters with what? With the afsakul sukun. So I'll pronounce that rule. So that'll be muqam. Muqam, right? So I'm applying the rules we learned last week now. Muqam. So we learned that rule. So whenever you're practicing reading, you want to practice the rule as you learn them. So screenshot this or get it somewhere and practice reading. I will read them and you also get to read yourself as well. Muqam, right? So I'm putting a sukun on the meme. I'm putting a sukun on the meme. Putting a sukun on the meme. So that'll be muqam. So what I've done there is I elongated the qaf with what? With the alif mad. So it's going for 2 counts. Or here, wakawa'ib. Wakawa'ib. So now we see that's what I'm saying about our lessons here. You need to implement the skills right as we learn it. So last week we talked about 5 qalqala letters. So the qaf, the ta, right? The ba, the jim, and the dal. As you learn this now, we've learned last week that these letters are called qalqala letters. And anytime they have afsakul sukun, because they have it naturally, or you give them because you stop, you give the echo sound. So it's gonna be wakawa'ib, right? Wakawa'ib. So the ba is getting the qalqala sound. So we're making the wa longer, right? That's the point of the talk today. So here, khutuwa. So you're making the wa longer. Khutuwat. 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 And here you're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have 6 letters in this word here. Amazing. And a lot of students make mistakes. So this one is a wa. The second one is a noon. The third one is a mim. Then an alif. Then a ra. Then a qaf. So how do you pronounce this? Wana mariqu. Wana mariqu. Okay? Wana mariqu. So the qaf is getting stopped on. And so we said earlier, when you stop on a letter that has a fatha, a kasra, a dhamma, a kasratani, or even a dhammatani, when you stop on those letters, or you pause on them, you give them afsakul sukun. So go check the video of the lesson we did last week about the Quran silent letters. The Quran silent letters. So we talk about this rule that when you stop on a letter and you have a afsakul sukun on it, you give that letter, you give that letter afsakul sukun. You stop on the letter, you give it afsakul sukun. There are 2 exceptions to this rule. Is when a letter has fathatani, it's a different rule entirely. We'll learn that next week. Or if the letter is you're stopping on is called a round ta or a ta al-marbuta, there's different rule to that. You're gonna convert this ta to a ha and give the ha a sukun. Okay, so let's continue this. So be part of this lesson until we explain the fathatini rule. But the ta al-marbuta rule, it's already explained. If a letter is having the last letter you pronounce on a word is a round ta, so you don't pronounce that ta, you rather convert it to a ha. You convert it to a ha. So, but aside from the ta al-marbuta rule and the fathatayni rules, any letter that you stop on, any letter, you pause on them, they have a fatha, a kasra, a dhamma, a kasratayni, dhammatayni, or shadda with any of this, they get what? They get a afsakul sukun. So if those letters that you stop then on is any of the qalqala letters, you give them echo sound. So that's why I pronounce this as wana mariqu. right? وَنَمَارِقُ. وَنَمَارِقُ. See? وَنَمَارِقُ. So I pronounce the ma that's attached. It's hidden here, right? It's hidden here. And pronounce it together with an alif med, giving the qu sound, the qalqala sound. Great. So let's move on, everyone. If you like this lesson, put a thumbs up, share and like this video to benefit other people as well, to kind of let it run as far as possible. So let's continue with this practice. So we have other practice, and this is actually how we learn in our program. So the kids practice, they learn the concept, explain it. Of course, we take more time to explain and have each person practice in the group. So we have this pronunciation. We need to learn to pronounce this. Now we need to apply the rules that we've learned. So how do you pronounce this? This will be shani'aka. But when you stop on it, shani'ak, right? The calf is gonna get a second. Nudawiluha. The alif already is sakin, is a med, so we don't have to introduce any sukun at all anymore. Nudawiluha. Nudawiluha. This will be wasa'a. So it's not gonna be wasa'aya, no, because the ayn, it's now having med letter, right? The ayn is having an alif med right after it, but you see there's a ya. So this ya also, don't forget, at alif, a waw, or ya, these are called the med letters, the letters of elongation. When will they be mad letters? It's whenever they have sakin. They are what? They are silent. Whenever they are silent, meaning they might have a afsaku sukun or they have nothing. When any of these letters are having this situation, they are called mad letters. They will be used for elongation. Okay? They will be used for elongation, right? So wasa'a, fa'asa, fa'asa. So you make the saw longer. So the ya is not used for anything here. Although it's a ya med, like the rule of med, but it's not pronounced. The alif is pronounced only with the sod, right? So you don't say fa'asaya. No. This is really, many of you who are reading the Quran today, you might not think, you might think this is easy, or I already know this. But imagine a beginner who does not know maybe the way you've learned it. They're gonna struggle for a lot of time. So reading the Quran is a lot more easy these days, and so we can learn more faster. Alhamdulillah. And hopefully, inshallah, we can connect everyone, all the kids and all students into the Quran, with the Quran and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah. So fa'asa, right? Fa'asa, that's it. And so let's go to do some examples. You know, like we're still learning Alif Med. It's really a long module, right? We're gonna learn the Alif Med. I'm gonna go quickly and do some practice as well with the rest of the Med letter. So this is an example of reading many words. وَأَرِنَا مَنَاسِكَنَا. So this is the special symbol I was talking about earlier. You see, aside from the tiny alif, you see this one is called harakatul med. This tiny, snaky symbol is called the med symbol. What do I call it? It's called med symbol. It denotes italatul med. So the med is gonna be elongated for more than 2 counts. And so depending, there are 2 scenarios that make us elongate the count of med for more than 2 counts. Is either an hamza coming after that med letter or a sukun. Okay, if a letter is having med, it's having an alif med, it's having a waw med or ya med. What will determine if the med will go for more than 2 counts, like 5 count or 6 count? There are 2 scenarios of things that could happen. It's either that med letter has right after it an hamza, or it has right after it a sukun. Here now, this alif med, tiny alif med here, is having right after it a hamza. It's having right after it an hamza. You see, like this here, we have this tiny alif med. I'm telling you the genesis of this long med symbol. Why is it there? Why is it there? Why do we have to pronounce this ya or pronounce it in a bit? But why is this symbol there? This symbol is there because this alif med is having an hamza right after it, right? If a med letter is having a sukun as well, it will make the med letter longer. So here in this scenario here, you'll pronounce ya. This will go for 5 counts, right? This is al-mad al-jaiz al-munfasil. Of course, maximum, it can go minimum of 2, but maximum of 5. Mad al-jaiz al-munfasil. This is a more broader topic. I'm not gonna speak too much on it. It's an advanced topic we teach students in the TSCM program here. We don't teach all those big grammar to students who are beginners. So, but I'm just explaining to the bigger audience why we have this one here. Okay, it's because this alif mad has what and hamza right after it. So it's called al mad jaz al mufassal in Quran because this ya is a long word on its own. Abana. So abana is another, right? Abana. That's how it is in grammar, right? Yeah, but these are some of the things we need to learn in Quran. Sometimes some words are actually put together and strung together. But this is not the jaiz al mufassal. So this is the hamza separated from the word ya, because ya is harfun nida on its own. So this is gonna be going for 5 counts. It will be ya abana malak. يا أبانا مالك. So that's why we're pronouncing that for 5 count. Enough of that. Let's go into learning how the Kesratini works as well. So you can always come back and watch these videos. Very informative, instructive. So let's go and learn some other type of med letters. So you're going to practice this. Screenshot this. This will be your homework. Everyone listening to me, screenshot it. I'm not going to read this to you right now. Go read it yourself and come back and see. Read it to someone that is more learned, above you, and let them check if you actually recite this ayat correctly. So this will be your homework. So let's talk about, and this one you can practice this as well. Let's talk about ya med. So the ya has, a letter of elongation. So the ya here is right after letters that have a kasra. And because of that, those mad letters will be making the ya, the ba here longer. So this will be B, B, and this is going to be T, right? That one, sorry. It's going to be T. So that other one is going to be T. The ya coming right after it, right? T, and this is going to be what? This is going to be C, right? 2 counts. He, D. So it's going for 2 count, right? 2 count. So that's how you do the med of ya. So it's pretty basic. You might have learned this before or not, but that's the basic pronunciation. And all this one also look the same thing. Re, Z, C, C, D, right? And the rest of them. And then we'll practice some of the words. So this will be what? This is going to be yujib, right? This is a ya, okay? This is a jim. There's a jim here. See, there's a jim here. Man, people need to actually learn how this stuff look like, especially for little kids. They get frustrated if they don't really have a solid foundation of letters. So yujib, this is uhitu, right? Or some uhitu. Fakihin, fakihin. Or you want to pronounce this one, the afa'ajina, أفعينا, okay? And then نريد, نريد, right? Or you want to pronounce this شديد وأكيد. So I'm applying the rules of sukun that we learned last week. رفيع, right? رفيع. Or you want to pronounce this one here بديع, right? So when you stop and you give the letter after sukun. Or you want to pronounce this one here ينيب, right? Yunib. So let's go. I love this class. If you like it, put a thumbs ups. I like it. صريخ, صريخ, right? This one. Or you pronounce the other one. Tabid, right? This is how you pronounce med letters. حافظين. So you're having alif and what? And ya med together at the same time. حافظين or خالدين. So you need to practice a lot of this. So that's what we need to do to build the skills. Practice and get some practice on your own and turn in some homework. Let someone who's much learned than you review your reading. So I'm going to give you some homework on this as well. So read these ayats as the med letters for ya med and learn how to pronounce them. And these are really nice examples. Then last one, wow med, we have wow having to serve as a med letter for letters having the med. So this is going to be boo, to, right? One thing though that I didn't show you all, I forgot to show you that, is about the ya. The ya also has its own tiny form. So there's a tiny form for ya. So this is serving as a ya. So if you don't know, this is a ya itself. This is also a ya. Okay, this is also a ya. So ya has like 5 different shapes. We teach our student in the program here. So ya has 5 different shapes. You need to know ya shapes and know how they look like all the time. So the wa, like we know dhu, thu, and then the wa also has its own tiny form. Okay, these are tiny form of wa. So these are wa. So this will also serve as a med as well in cases where wa is supposed to serve as med. So let's do last practice. And you guys can practice all this before the class next week, when we learn the med. I'm gonna read one of these ayats and I'm gonna have you guys practice the rest. وَقَتَلَ دَاوُودُ جَالُوتَ. Dawood. See how I pronounce this? Woo? Dawood Jalut. So practice this one. Let someone more learned than you practice for you. Practice for them, and so you can get evaluated. So if you want to have all this done, real time and get feedback and record and do it easily, you can join our fluency program here and do many practice as much as you can. And this is going to bring us to the end of this topic today, inshallah. It's been 30 minutes. I've started streaming this lesson. Like I mentioned, if you like to join me live and so you can practice and get feedback, right? I would really love that. So you can comment below this video so I can send you privately the Zoom link I've used to join this webinar every Sundays. So I'm pretty excited to have anyone to join me live. So if you want to join live, request privately the link to this Zoom so we can practice and get feedback and practice with me, inshallah. This is going to bring us to the end of the talk today. And if really you're excited, you are an achiever, you're someone that really wants to become a fluent Quran reciter, we do have adult classes, or you want to have your child learn to read the Quran themselves fluently, connecting with the Quran, everything we have in this world is going to finish. But your deen and your good deeds will be with you forever. So let's take time to maximize our time on this earth, connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, build connection with the Quran, and let's succeed all together and enter Jannah for those. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت